Muchismo Eugene, welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share, pass this video on to someone you believe would be helped by it and would benefit from it. I'd appreciate that. Last time I was talking to you, part 2, I left off talking about now I'm in prison and I began to start living a life of sobriety inside of the walls. This is the first time I've been sober for this amount of time in 10 years, from 17 to 27, looking back at it. And now I began to live a life clear-headed, sober. And this is beginning to feel like a weight lifted, even though I'm incarcerated and I have a 5-year prison sentence to do and I'm fresh in. And I didn't tell the story about when I had gotten sentenced in the courthouse. When they sentenced me for that amount of time, I felt like it was 100 years because this is my first son. He's 6 months old. And here I am, I won't see him and he'll be 5-6 years old. Just the thought of that, this kid will be 5 years old. And I began to cry. Tears, physical tears went down my eyes. But this is the thing, guys. I went to wipe my face and with my hand, and I looked at my hand and my hand was dry. And I know that might sound crazy, but that is a story that I've told on several occasions, and I'll tell that story until the day there's no breath left in me, because that was in fact a miracle of God. And when it first happened, I guess years went by and I never really spoke to anybody about it. But as I just told you now, I can speak matter of fact about that because I do believe that was an intervention of God. And so God literally cleared those tears, those physical tears up, because He was preparing me to begin to live the life that He designed for me to live. Now, I don't know this, but I'm looking back. This is in hindsight. We can see God's mighty hand in our life. If you truly are in tune with your spirit man, you would undeniably give credit where credit is due, because there is no other explanation to justify what you've experienced. And it's not wishful thinking. This is beyond wishful thinking. This is a matter of fact. This is an experience that you have witnessed yourself. And so God does perform miracles, I believe, today within people, within you, for your eyes to see. The verdict is out. Whereas televangelists and pastors are laying hands on people and that kind of stuff, that the verdict is out on that, that I'm not buying that, but to each his own. So that's neither here nor there. I'm in prison. I began to take up boxing, and I've been out of prison 20 something years. I became very good in boxing. Me, one of 5 guys. The other 4 guys were way better than me, but I will admit that I was pretty good because of the old man that trained me. He really did. He told me that, and for him to tell you that you really did earn it. And so I was very effective with my hands. But from the time I left prison to this day, I have not laid my hands on anyone physically. I have not physically boxed anybody. And that's a blessing too. And a lot of people don't know I know how to box. And so because the discipline in which this old man taught me, and I say this old man, it was almost like a Mr. Miyagi type thing. He taught discipline. We didn't understand a lot of the stuff that he was teaching us, but he taught us about boxing. We thought, but he was teaching us a deeper thing. He was teaching us, whereas we could become so disciplined because we were exercising, conditioning our body, repetitive exercises. And what this man was teaching us, unbeknownst to us, he was teaching us determination, vigilance, tenacity, all of these things that don't give up. You refuse, even when you exhausted, you push. You do a couple of more push-ups. You do a couple of more pull-ups. You do a couple of more sit-ups. Mind over matter. And so he was teaching us how to discipline our body to the point where we didn't have to use the art of boxing. And he also taught us how to deal with our mind, not to be taken into emotions. Don't act out of raw emotion. He said boxers who fight out of emotions normally lose. And so I took that out to the streets. And to this day, I believe that a lot of the stuff that he taught me, I'm living it out in my life, because I've been able to avoid, or not just avoid, I've been able to diffuse a lot of situations basically by just talking it out. And people can tell when you're not alarmed. People can tell when you're not afraid. People can tell when you're poised. And that's kind of what the narcissist knows about us as empaths. When we are awakened and we're solid and our vibration is on point and we're unmoved by their little shenanigans, they get petrified, because you don't respond in the way that they anticipate. When 9 people out of 10 respond just how they anticipate. But when it comes to you, you throw them for a loop. And so I trained extensively, and I walked with the word of God when I was in prison, as much as I could, as much as my mind determined me to do it. I was wrestling with the flesh. I'd leave chapel, come back to the pod, rent the porn books, go in my room and, get my thrill off, give the guys their books back, get into the Bible, read scriptures. I was purging myself of all of the things that I didn't like about myself. And I was trying to submit myself under the authority of God, because I knew he had saved me from myself. And so for 5 years, I just did my thing. 2 weeks before I got released, there was a guy, he sucker punched me to no avail. He didn't knock me back. He punched me. He wasn't in a stance. He punched me almost like a sucker punch. He punched me almost like a guy shooting a gun with his eyes closed. Some of these young kids, they run around shooting these guns at people, and they shooting with their eyes closed because they've never shot a gun before. They just want to fit in. And so he caught me where the cheekbone at. So I got what you call pretty much like a boxer's cut you would get here. Got a couple of those too, but you can barely see it. It really, really went away, but it opened me up pretty good right there. And it was bleeding. It was just dripping, drip, drip, drip. And so when he punched me, I was unmoved. I went and I looked in the mirror and I said, get there, meaning get to the rec yard. And so there were a few groups of guys following us. They were amping it up, just like kids on a schoolyard. Some people would just sit back. There was not one person said, don't do that. You guys just don't do it. People want to see chaos, So we went to the rec yard. All of a sudden, the female in the guard tower, you could see her, or at least the guys who were looking, they saw her stand up, because they were being lookout. They saw her stand up with the binoculars, and I think she said disperse. And when they say disperse, because they saw all the people clustering up, and most often they know that that's probably going to be some kind of confrontation. And so they said disperse, and everybody said, you guys don't do it now. They're watching. And so we went back to the dorm. And what I did was, this is not in a malice type of way, it wasn't in an angry way. I said in the morning when the count clears, after the count, we're going to the rec yard. Now, this was a Friday when he punched me, Friday evening. So during that night, throughout that Friday night, I was sitting on the bunk. I had told him Saturday morning after count clears, we're going to go to Red Yard and we're going to take care of business, because you need to understand, because, you know, I'm a man of God. I'm walking in a certain way. This is not something to be toyed with, you know, basically, because I'm a believer. And people do this in the street. When you say you're a believer, I think people think you're a pushover. But some of us Christians out here, bro, you don't want none. You really don't. And so we went to the break. I mean, not the break. We went to the yard after count. And normally on Saturdays after count, only people go to the rec yard, or people play the lottery, play dice, playing cards, or working out. And a lot of times you'll have the homosexuals will go out there and do their thing. It's a different world, guys. It's a different world. And I implore you, if you're in any kind of situation with a narcissist, this is another reason to get out of it, because a narcissist will have you sent up the river, meaning sent to prison for gaslighting you, and you acting out, doing things, all kind of crazy stuff. You ending your butt up in jail or prison. And this is a life you really don't even understand. It's a life unlike anything you've ever imagined. It's nothing like you see on TV. It's nothing like you see on TV. And so it's worse than that. And so we went to the rec yard, and you know, we danced around. I threw a few punches on him. I had the longer reach, and I think he caught me a couple blows, because afterwards, somehow or another, he wasn't even a boxer. You know, I got technique and everything, but I think this guy, he caught me with a few haymakers, to his credit, and because my head was throbbing somewhere in this area here or wherever, and I was like, wow, because in the moment I didn't think he laid a glove on me. And so he caught me with one or two good punches upside the head, I guess. I didn't feel any kind of blows from anywhere else. But the point is, at some point I heard a whistle blow. And at this point we knew, because we were on the gazebo at the time when we were bouncing around, throwing punches. And there was a couple of people standing around this time too, but they were not creating excess attention to themselves, if you will. And so we were allowed to dance around for 2-3 minutes, and that gave us enough time to get what we needed to get done. And so I hear a whistle blow, and then I hear someone, to this day I don't know who it was, they said something to the effect of, they called my last name, because a lot of us go by last names. They said, give me your shirt. He said, take your t-shirt off, give it to me, go in the bathroom, put water on your face, dump water on your face, pretend you've been working out. So the water was supposed to be sweat. So I just did what was instructed to me to do, because it sounded logical. This individual was actually trying to help me from this very point get out of getting caught. And so I go in the bathroom, do what they say, and I'm putting water on my face, and I'm not looking, because you're in a little bathroom, it's outdoors, no door on it. It's a brick wall, toilet and sink. And so I hear them say, I got one of them, we'll get the other one. And so they immediately knew he was one of the guys, because of his look and his expression on his face, or somebody might have ratted him out. And this was 2 weeks before I was supposed to be released. And so what this guy was essentially trying to do is jam my time, to which it didn't work, because I had already maxed my time out because of a riot that they tried to start at some point 2 or 3 years within my sentence. I was at an institution where they got wind that a riot was finna pop off. Me being closed custody, they shipped me off along with probably 50 to 100 other guys. We were on a bus that same day, and I never saw the compound when I got to this new institution. They put me on solitary confinement, and I was on solitary confinement for a year. And that's a whole nother part that I didn't mention. But that was just another part of why or how God was disciplining me. He had disciplined me when I began to learn how to box. That was preparing me to be able to tolerate solitary confinement. Now, this is all happening in succession. I don't even know that one thing is preparing me for another. There were guys who were eating their own feces to try to get out of solitary confinement. Now, these things I'm going to talk about are very, very surreal when it comes to incarceration. People do some of the unthinkable things in there that you would never even consider doing out here in the free world. And there are people that are in psych wards that do similar things. It's all centered on attention. But a lot of it is being confined. Some people just cannot do well in confinements. And narcissists are very much that type of person. They cannot be held in confinement because, again, they need fuel supply. So you put them in isolation, they lose their mind. And so I stayed a year on solitary confinement, back to the fight. Everything commenced. They got him. They took him to the box. At this point, I realized my hand is swole because somehow or another my thumb, and Pop used to always tell me that when I box, I always used to stick these out and you're supposed to tuck them. And so what I did, my hand was swole. These hands are the same size, but my hands were huge. One of them was huge. And so it's almost 15 minutes before lunch. So they call lunch. And now there's a long line for the lunch hall. It's like 100 people standing outside, long line, almost like waiting to go in a concert. And so by the time I get to the wall leading into the cafeteria, there's about 20 minutes that's gone by. And so I see the sergeant there. He's leaning over the wall like this. And he said, hey, he spoke my last name. He said, hey. He said, how's the hand? So someone had told him that I was the other guy way earlier on, like shortly after the fight ended. But what I'm trying to show you guys, those officers, sergeant and all, was telling me two things. We know you're the other guy, but we're not going to lock you up. They were telling me that subliminally. So by him saying, how's the hand, he was just letting me know, I know you're the other guy. I had gained such a great rapport with the officers there, staff, other inmates. See, God can clean you up and you can act like you got some sense and your character shines through. So I began to behave and act like the person that God designed me to be. And I liked the person I was. It wasn't kissing up. It wasn't it wasn't putting on no show. It wasn't acting in a way that didn't fit who I was. I just became authentically me. And so I gained favor with the officers. And the Bible says something to that degree. It talks about a name is to be held. It's more valuable than diamonds, rubies. And it goes on to talk about all these precious stones. He said a name is to be held in high esteem, your character. And so he also says, when you do righteous, you will gain favor with God and man. And so that was living proof of that. And so I was able to be released from the compound. And so this guy was trying to jam my time. If you don't understand why he was trying to jam my time, he was trying to make me not go home on my specific release date because he had a lot of time. And this is what people do. If they know you got a little bit of time, they will start a fight. They will punch you, stab you. They will do anything to you to try to jam your time. And so he was also trying to make me go home from the box. And what happens when you go to isolation or solitary confinement, you're in the dark. You don't get no sunlight or nothing. So it's almost like 5-6 months of no sun in upstate New York. You are light, your complexion lightens up unless you go to a tanning bed. And not only that, your skin is dry because you don't have any lotion. They take all your hygiene. So you basically just got the bare minimum water, and they slide you a tray for lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're hungry before you even finish eating that. You're hungry again. And so it's the bare minimum. So when you leave out of that box, you're bright, your face is dry, skin is peeling off of you. So you just look atrocious when you're about to go home. And that's what he wanted me to do. He essentially wanted me to go home looking like a hot mess. And that's how dark people are. They don't want to see you at your best, because you have to understand, I was looking good, eating good, boxing, had stopped smoking, gave smoking up in 98. So there is layers and layers of things that I began to do in adjusting who I was before I went in there. And so there's just so many things I did to work on me. And this is way before I realized narcissistic personality disorder. All of these things were prerequisite before God was about to wake me up in 2020. Now, I'm going to break it right here. This is part 3. Part 4, we're going to go on into when I got out of prison and my wife and my children met me at the gate with tickets to Disney World. So that should be fun to listen to. Until then, bless.